Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Hi, my name is Chelsea and I'm a bookseller here with Parnassus Books, and I am thrilled to welcome Dev Petty and Anna Aranda. They are the author and illustrator of Moth Butterfly. Ta-da! You can get signed copies in the link below, and our wonderful illustrator has made these adorable little paintings for some, they're tucked in each copy of the book while supplies last. So you'll get a book that's signed and a special little painting of the character. If you have any questions for our author and illustrator, please put those in the comments as well below. They will get to those throughout the presentation. And it is my honor to welcome Dev and Anna.
Hey, thank you all for coming, and thank you, Parnassus, for having us. I've never had the pleasure of being to your extraordinary bookstore, but I hear all the amazing things. So I'm Dev, and I'm a picture book author, and I live in the San Francisco Bay Area in Berkeley. I grew up in Berkeley, so I'm right about 5 blocks from where I grew up, which is kind of fun. And my kid goes to my school, high school. So I started writing picture books some years ago after being a visual effects artist and working on The Matrix and other films as a painter. And now I write picture books. So my first book was I Don't Want to Be a Frog. And I have a number of other ones. And then there's, oops, The Bear Must Go On. And my latest is why we're here today, which is this very special book, which is called Moth Butterfly. Ta-da! And it's such a special book, and it's been such an interesting, wonderful process working on this with Anna and with Nancy Paulson Books. It's a book that a story I actually started to write really early in my career, and I was thinking very much about how a moth might feel envious of a butterfly. So it was about these two friends, and the moth was always griping and very, very upset that the butterfly was so beautiful and graceful and charming, and the moth was so hairy and beige and cold. And over time, it turned from a story about envy between friends to a story about sort of understanding and compassion and kindness and flexibility, and how friendships change, like real friendships change and adjust. So it's such a beautiful book. I'm going to show a couple things because it's my favorite thing, and I'm just going to do it because I get to. And then we're going to read the book and answer questions and such. So one of the lovely things about this, all books, most picture books have beautiful jackets, and this is the cover, which is just lovely. Moth is my favorite. Sorry, I like Butterfly too, but seriously, look at this guy. It's amazing. But under the jacket, you have a hardback because kids eat the jackets or they get crumpled. And sometimes it's just the same image. But in this case, under the jacket, you have the hardback here. And here they are as caterpillars, moth and butterfly caterpillars. And on the back, you have the same thing. Instead of the back of the book like this, you have them now as a moth and a butterfly sharing a flower there. Likewise, inside, you have the paste down. I should know all these terms, right? And in this case, you have these charming, I can't believe how adorable they are, little caterpillars in the front, and then in the back, they've turned into the moth and butterfly. So if you haven't read the book, you may by now have gleaned that it's about two caterpillars who start off as friends, not knowing that they're going to become something different, and that they're going to change and go through this incredible big process and come out different on the other side. And I think it's so interesting because, and how the book ended up, because I think we've all had friendships that start off in one set of circumstances, and then there's a big change and you come out on the other side and it's different. You don't know if your friend is going to move or take a new job or take on a new religion or whatever. So you don't know what's going to happen on the flip side of change. I guess I just add before I read it that I think it's been interesting in the run up to this launch to ponder change after this couple of years that we've all been through together, because we're all different on the flip side. We've all metamorphosized. We've all been in almost like a chrysalis. It's actually really spot on if you think about it. And we're coming out, and we may all suddenly we're butterflies and moths and we can fly, and that's great. But there's also that feeling like maybe I didn't want to fly. Maybe I was happy eating milkweed and sitting in a garden. There was a simplicity to things. So obviously I had no idea. When you write a picture book, you start this years ago. I don't even know, Anna can talk about when she started illustrating, but these things take, I wrote this 3 or 4 years ago and started writing it many years ago. And I couldn't have known that this would end up being so, spot on to what we're all experiencing, and realizing that we've gone through something together and we're all a little different. And now we have these wings, and we have to figure out if we use them to travel or to make new friendships or whatever. So I think it's interesting. And I'm so charmed by these illustrations. It's so beautiful. I kind of can't stand it. I have a big crush on it. That's what I said earlier today. So I'm going to read the book. And again, if you have questions, we'll try and get to them. But this is Moth and Butterfly. Ta-da. And if anything goes terribly wrong, my apologies. But I think we got this. All right, Moth and Butterfly. Ta-da. Moth and Butterfly. Ta-da by Dev Petty, illustrated by Anna Aranda from Nancy Paulson Books. For Manya, from me, and to my mother, the strongest person I know, with all of my love, Anna. And I'll start crying now, but I'm fine. In a corner of the lush green garden, 2 caterpillars share a leaf.
Deb, sorry to interrupt you, but I think we're only seeing the cover right now. I think you need to share and then put the other PDF.
Okay, thank you, Anna.
Of course.
Hold on one sec. Try this one more time. Apologies. Thank you. I don't know why it's being so funny. Hold on one sec, okay? How's that, Anna? Did that work? Yeah? Great. Thank you all. Sorry.
You couldn't hear me. I was saying yes.
Hey, I got it. Thank you. Okay. In a corner of the lush green garden, 2 caterpillars share a leaf. They have a lot in common. Many legs, spots, cool moves. And look, both are champions at chewing leaves into funny shapes. Amazing. Ta-da. Oops. Soon, something important will happen to each of them. Happy metamorphosis. I love the little face on Moth Caterpillar. It's so cute. Something amazing is happening in here. A week passes and another. Then pop, there is Butterfly. Then pop again, there is Moth. Wow, they have changed. They have fewer legs now, but they have antennae and wings. Look, Moth, my wings are so bright and mine are so beige. At first, it is almost like before, though now they drink sweet nectar instead of chewing leaves. And look, they can fly. Moth and Butterfly together again. But soon they notice other differences. Butterfly is fast and graceful. Moth darts around and bumps into everything. Oops, you okay? Butterfly likes sunshine and standing out. Moth loves shade and blending in. Moth, where are you? Right here. Butterfly flies in the daytime and sleeps at night. Moth sleeps in the day and flies at night. He is waking up now. Time to rise and shine, butterfly, but it's bedtime. Some things are different, but some are the same. Cool moves. Moth and butterfly both smile when they spy two young caterpillars sharing a leaf. They know important things are about to happen. Happy metamorphosis. And then there's a little bit of back matter. I hope this finds its way into schools who are doing units on life cycles. So it says, is it a moth or a butterfly? You probably know that moths and butterflies have lots in common. They both go through metamorphosis, the process that turns them from a caterpillar into an amazing winged insect. But there are easy ways to spot the differences after metamorphosis. Butterflies are usually brightly colored and have thin antennae with club-shaped tips. Moths have duller colors and feathery antennae. Another big difference between the two is that butterflies are diurnal, meaning active in the daytime, and moths are nocturnal, meaning they're busy during the night. Go ahead and take a careful look at those flying creatures. Is it a moth or a butterfly? Either way, they are both pretty grand, aren't they? So I'll stop sharing and come back. And I'm back, yeah. Because I had that difficulty, you didn't get to see the sort of beautiful opening title page, which I love in its simplicity. It's so charming. And the very opening garden page, which I imagine Anna can talk about, which is so lush. It's exactly what I had envisioned, but more wonderful in this lush garden. So that's Moth and Butterfly, ta-da. Or do you say ta-da? I don't know if I'm supposed to sing it, but it's such a wonderful, charming book. And I can't believe the illustrations that so wonderfully captured the vibe of the whole story. And I'm just honored to be a part of it. It's all just a total bonus. And I'm gonna pass it over to Anna, and we'll talk some questions at the end. So I'm gonna put it over to you, my friend.
Thank you so much, Deb. It's always so great to collaborate with you, and I just want to say I'm such a big fan of Deb's work. So if you guys have a chance to, if you haven't checked out her books, you should definitely check out because they're so beautiful. And thank you, Parnassus, for having us, and thank you everyone who joined us today. For those of you joining from Mexico, muchos saludos, los quiero mucho, gracias por estar aquí. And well, so I guess I'll introduce myself. I am Anna Aranda. I am the illustrator of this beautiful book, Moth and Butterfly, ta-da! And I've also worked in other books in the US you can find, such as The Chupacabra, The Candelabra, and Our Celebración. And before that, I've done also other books abroad, such as Plus fort que le vent, with Julia Billet in France, and other books. So I'm really excited for everyone to see this book because, as Deb was saying, it's just, I think it's coming out in a time where we've all had so many changes and has been such a challenging year. This is like, for me, it's like a little ray of sunshine, a little ray of color, and I'm very happy to share all the color with you guys. And so you guys can find more about my work, about the book online, if you go to anaranda.com, and you'll see also other work that I've done, such as murals and greeting cards and other stuff. So for today, I was thinking, if all of you have some paper and a pen or a pencil, and you like to draw along with me, I'd be very happy to have you. Welcome. And so I'm going to draw one of the characters from the book. So which one do you guys think I should draw first? Would you like me to draw moth or butterfly? Let's see. Maybe I'll do, butterfly. Okay, let's start with butterfly. So Cool thing about Moth and Butterfly is that they're so different. There's really fun ways to play with each of those. So for Butterfly, it's this character that is like very colorful, very graceful, like you see in one of the pages where Moth is like bumping into everything, and Butterfly is like almost doing yoga in the air, being like super, big dancer. And so because of that, I wanted Butterfly to be like a little bit more like round in a way. So the body is going to be almost like a teardrop. Like everything is kind of like eyes or teardrops. So the wings are going to be also very round. And of course, if you want to do your own kind of wings, that's perfect too. And for both of the characters, I wanted them to have some kind of decorative element that almost looked like flowers or like eyes. And so both Moth and Butterfly have like these marks, and their antenna have kind of floral elements on them too. The eyes are 2 dots, and then the nose is like a teardrop too. And it has 3 sets of arms, and then 2 feet. And of course, it needs to be very colorful, right? So I'm going to add a little bit of color over here. And here too. Okay. And I like, all throughout the book, I wanted it to have like a very colorful feel. I was inspired in different places where I've spent a lot of time. So I spent part of my childhood in a town close to Mexico City called Cuernavaca. That's also called the City of Eternal Springtime. And so I actually worked a little bit on the book while in Cuernavaca. And so I was inspired by the flowers, the colors from there. And then I was also inspired by New Orleans, where I've spent quite some time too. And so, for example, one of the houses, well, the house that appears there is based in a house from New Orleans. And so I wanted to share that with you guys. Okay, how about we do Moth now? Do we have a little bit of time? I'll do one real quick. Yes, okay. So let's take another piece of paper, and now we're gonna do Moth. So Moth is a little bit more, it's like more clumsy. It's like, it kind of flaps around, and it's a little bit, I kind of see myself a little bit in Moth because I'm also very clumsy. And so Moth has more of like a triangular kind of shape, and it's made out of just triangles. So it's going to be 1 triangle looking down, and then 2 triangles looking towards the sides. And then again, it has like these flowers in the antennae, but moths are very hairy, right? So it has hair over here in the antennae, and it has hair also in the wings. Here again. And I was talking about, having them have maybe some kind of floral element here too. So I was thinking about that when I was doing these kind of patterns that are inside the wings. The eyes, again, are just 2 dots, but then the nose is like an inverted flower. And it has 3 sets of arms and 2 legs. So with Moth, it's a character that doesn't have too many colors. I wanted it to just have some accent colors, so I used blue. so that it would contrast with the colors from Butterfly, that it's more like on the warm tones, like pinks, yellows, oranges, like very saturated colors. So Moth is, because it's nocturnal, maybe he blends more with like the blues, the greens. It's saying hola. Oh, I don't know if you can see the hola. Maybe it's a little bit too light here. I'm gonna put it again. Hola. I hope you guys had fun drawing with me. And so I'm going to invite Deb back to answer any questions you guys have. Thanks again for joining us.
Bravo. That was lovely. I can show you, I couldn't find any paper since I'm sort of tethered to my computer here that was plain, but I did do it in pencil. So I have, that's my moth, that's my butterfly, and there's my moth. And I clearly shouldn't give up my day job, but they're so charming. And to answer a question and also talk a little bit about your characters, there's a question in the chat about if I used art notes. I always use some art notes, and I don't entirely remember what I did. But I almost never use art notes in terms of telling an artist what a character should look like, or even what their expression is, or what style. You never do any of that. It's really only for story points. The only one I could really think of was maybe the part about Moth trying to blend in to a door or something in the shade, because that was a sort of a bit that I had imagined really early on, how, because sometimes I'll go to my front door and I'm coming in at night, and you could almost not notice that there's like 30 moths sitting there being flat and invisible and anonymous. So I think that's one thing that was a real story point, that there's no way to convey that without sort of expressing it. But one of the things I love so much in here that Anna did was this difference in how they fly. And showing that with these lines. And I love it so much because I couldn't have explained it better with an art note. I'm not smart enough to really, I'm not sure I could have conveyed it anyway artistically, but there you have, that's butterfly flying, excuse me. And there's Moth, and it has that sort of herky jerky, mothy quality where they almost go backwards and up and down. And I love dashed lines anyway, but I just absolutely adore seeing this visual distinction between the two. And what, Anna, you probably don't know, is the original version of this had Moth darting around and then going into a flame and getting his wings burned. And the Nancy said, no, you can't light a character on fire. So there's picture books for you. Don't light anything on fire. So let's see, are there any other questions? Oh, Anna, they're asking what your creative process is.
That's a really good question.
It's a big question.
Very big question.
It is.
Well, usually I would get the text from an amazing author like Deb. And I remember when I read the text, I was like, already so many images were coming to my mind, and I just instantly had to say yes. And so when I read the text, I have some images that come, and I try to just put them right away next to the text, whether they will or will not make it. But then after that, I start working on the characters. I like doing characters like, the way I start doing them is more like a silhouette. So I will do like silhouettes of the characters to see like if they work just as a shadow, like a silhouette, then it means they will work as like bigger and more colored characters. And then once I have the characters, I go to like thumbnails, like little versions of the sketches, and then to bigger sketches. Once those are approved, I do like colored sketches, try to feel, because color is the most important part of like for what I do, it's the most important part of my work. I think I want to do books that every time you turn the page, it's like a different color experience. It's like you go into this new world every time with every page turn. So I'm really like, that's my like thing I'm like super specific about. And I spend a lot of time thinking about color. Even when I'm doing sketches, I'm already thinking like, oh, this character is gonna be this color, it's gonna have like this color, like that. That's like, my mind always goes there. And then after the colors are approved, I go to final art. And so I do that. Everything is traditionally made, nothing is digital. So I usually use like watercolors, gouache, sometimes like little pens to do some accents, and sometimes I add food too. Um, for this book, I added some, I think it was lime juice, because I had used that before in the Chupacabra book, and I really loved the like the textures that you can get with that. And so in some of these, you'll see that, I don't know, the colors are maybe a little bit faded in some parts, and there's some splashes, like for example, this over here. And this other page, it also has some lime juice because the colors change and the texture is a little bit different. So what I would do usually is I put lime juice or any kind of like fruit juice, like acidic from any citrus, and then I would put it in the toothbrush and I'll just start splashing it to the image. And that's maybe one of my favorite parts of the book, where you just get to play, and like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's the process that I find really fun.
So somebody else was asking what our favorite spread is for each of us. So I have two that I would share. I love this one just because it really, you feel really like something is happening in here, and this night and day, which is sort of so much a part of the book with this counterpart business. It just really feels like there's, for something still, it has so much movement, and I just love it. It really feels like something's changing. I'm also, expression wise, this is absolutely one of my favorites, because here they are on the flip side of this, you know, arguably difficult experience of metamorphosis, and they're both so positive. You know, you almost expect Moth to be like, oh, I'm not colorful, and he seems totally well delighted by his new form. There's just something very dear about it, which I love very much. Do you have a favorite spread, Anna?
Yes, I'm trying to find it. Sorry. Yes, my favorite spread, I think it would be this one.
Yeah, that's,
because it's very, I love doing houses, and like whenever I can add them in books, I love doing that. So this is the house from New Orleans that was kind of my inspiration for the part of the setting. And then I just love, like, I love these deep like pink colors, and it was also like a very, I don't know, yeah, I think there were a lot of feelings I was having while I was doing this page too, so I kind of remembered that too.
I love that they're in silhouette too, you know, and you really get the sense that they're going off to this new thing, but they're still these buddies. It's very sweet. I like that one a lot too. Someone asked if I have an earlier draft that varied widely from the final. Did Moth and Butterfly ever decide they couldn't be friends for a little while? I think they always ended up friends. I think I probably, this book in its earlier version, I'd say leaned a little older, maybe 4 to 7, where this is probably a 3 to 5-year-old. It's sort of the youngest one apart from Frog that I've done. So I think I probably had a version that where the stakes were a little higher and there was a little more drama. But I don't think they ever couldn't be friends. I just think it was a little bit harder for a while. But actually, Nancy Paulson is such an extraordinary editor in terms of, especially for writers, in terms of helping you kind of really zero in on your message and simplify and take out the extraneous bits. So I was ever grateful for that.
For me, I think the page that was a little bit challenging was this one, because as I was saying, I had to repeat it a couple of times because I was experimenting. I wanted it to be some kind of explosion, and I wanted it to feel like very, you know, like something big is happening, right? Like it's ta-da. And so I tried a couple times, like using different inks and then using lime juice and then I think like orange juice, spice, salt. Like I just threw a lot of things there and it wasn't working. And then sometimes with lime, if you leave it in the sun, then it will fade away. So that was happening too. And so I had to step away a little bit from the page, work in another page and then come back. And I think sometimes that happens where you have to like step back and then do something else and then you come back and it's working, you know. So that one was challenging for me, but in the end I found it's one of my favorite pieces in the work too, because it feels very free, and that's how I wanted it to feel, like this big explosion of like new freedom.
And your originals, they're being exhibited, is that right?
Yes, so everyone is super more than invited. There's going to be a show and book signing in Nucleus Gallery in LA. And so there's going to be some of the originals shown there. Some of them I'm not able to show them because the ones that have food in it, the colors, fade away with time. So there might be like a print edition. I'm not sure of that yet, but there might be some kind of thing we will do with those. But for now, yeah, just the originals are going to be shown. And I'm really excited whenever I can show the originals of the book, because no one imagines like how big they are, how much detail they have. Until you see them live, it feels very different than seeing them in a book.
Oh, that's so cool. I'm halfway to thinking about trying to make it.
Please, guys.
Yeah, I know. I might just.
Yes.
So someone asked, older grade teachers use picture books to teach the theme in one setting. What would you say is the theme of this book? And I think I would definitely, while in a lot of ways, I think it's friendship. I would definitely say it's change. And I'm not sure I necessarily would have said that before all that's happened, but I think it's really about how change affects us and how we manage change and how friendships manage change. I read a lot about metamorphosis and how difficult a process it is. These caterpillars, where they're happily eating leaves, and that's all they're only supposed to do is just eat leaves and get plump in their simple life. And then one day they have this urge and they go and they're essentially liquefied and reorganized and come out on the other side. And, it's so interesting that they maintain this friendship, and that we all go through moments where we're liquefied and reorganized and come out on the other side. Yeah, anyway, really, really good questions. How long was the process of writing the story and of the art? For me, I had the idea a long time ago, but I'd say the actual this version probably took a couple months to write, to edit and revise and draft. Sometimes I write a book in an afternoon, and sometimes it takes 6 months. This one I had in my head pretty well, though, before I started writing. I don't know how long the art took you, Anna.
It was in different chunks of time, because there were moments where I had to stop work on that book and then work in another thing. But I would say, like, if we put all of that together, that would be maybe like a year, a little bit more, like, yeah, between a year or two, that the art was like from sketch to final. But yeah, I think it flowed very well. Like, we have an amazing editor, Nancy, and she really gave, she did a beautiful work with like putting us together and then doing this beautiful book too.
Yeah, it's always a big moment for a writer when you find out who the illustrator is going to be, no matter what. And when they said it was going to be yours was one of the first picture books on my first school visit ever, was at Copperfield's. The person there showed me Chupacabra, and I love this. I thought it was amazing. So when they said it was going to be you, I was just so over the moon. It was fabulous.
I was super happy when I saw your story too. I was like, wow, this is like the dream book. And I'm so happy how it, after the years spent, like from the first time I read it until now that it's in our hands, I feel like I'm really proud of how it came.
Yeah. I have a total crush on it, completely. Let's see. How did you learn to draw so fast, Anna? And why did you decide to become an artist?
I don't know if I draw fast. I think maybe there's other people who draw faster than me, but I decided to become an artist. I don't know, because I don't think I'm good at anything else. I don't know. It's just a thing that I've always done. Like since I was a kid, I was always drawing, and that's what I've always done. Like sometime briefly in high school, maybe I thought about being a scientist or being a musician, but then drawing and painting was always very present to me. So I just, yeah, and I guess for some time I didn't really know many artists in my life. Like I didn't grow up knowing what an artist's life was like. So I started in graphic design, and then when I knew there could be a job where you could do books, I was like, that's what I want to do.
We're very grateful you did. Somebody asked, great question. What advice do you have for aspiring picture book creators? I think I would just say to pay attention. The world is full of all kinds of strange, wonderful, bizarre moments. And if you're paying attention, you can write them down. And really, in picture books, it's all about the idea. I'm a big believer in that. So I actually do a lot more thinking than I do writing. If I have an idea, a note, a funny thing I've seen, I write it down, and then I turn it every single which way, back and forth, up and down. What does this mean? I read, quotes and thoughts on different themes. And so I think thinking before you start writing actually really helps picture book writers, at least writers. I can't speak to illustration. And the other thing I'd say is just do a lot of it. Write 20 picture books and then see where you're at. And if you've found a voice that you love and feels strong. And I'd say to take risks. There's 1,000 reasons a picture book is rejected by editors. Don't let being unoriginal be one of them. You might as well go out swinging. That's how I view it. Take risks.
I love that. I think I agree with everything that Dev said. Like that's so important. And I would add also to have some time, like leave some space for play and have fun, because I think it's like the most amazing thing that we get to, have a job where like you would paint or you draw for a living. Like that's like the most awesome thing. But I think that it also needs to stay very fresh, and you also need to have some space where you can experiment and play and not take things too seriously or take yourself too seriously. So I think for me it would be that just have a space to be creative and to do messy things and things that don't need to make sense at all, and just find things that make you feel inspired and creative, and surround yourself with that kind of creative vibe, and also work very hard, because I know it takes a while to get a book published or to even get the right person to see your book. But and rejection is so common. I've had so many ideas and so many things rejected in the past, but the thing is to just keep going and just keep trying, because that's the only way to just keep doing it.
Absolutely. Someone asked about our future projects. I just signed my 10th book deal, so that one, it's secret for now. But I have 2 coming out in the next couple of years. One is illustrated by Ruth Chan, and it's called How Old is Mr. Tortoise? And it's sort of in a graphic novel format, and it's fantastic, and she's great. And it's a funny book with some STEM math elements a little bit. And then I have one called Don't Eat Bees, which is sort of about a goofy dog and his life lessons. And that's one being illustrated by my frog partner in crime, Mike Bolt. So that'll be, we got the band back together, this time not for a frog, but for a dog. And it's very funny. And I have a really not very bright dog. So I just have to sit around and watch him go, and it writes itself. It's amazing. And then someone else asked, did the humor come naturally, or did you have to work to figure out the placement? humor comes much more naturally to me than does sort of friendship and sweetness. And I mean, I'm a nice person. I just mean, I write humor by naturally. So this was a departure for me, and I liked it very much. I didn't really have to strain too much. This book came out really naturally. These characters kind of knew what to do. So I guess we're winding down. Anna, do you have anything to add?
Well, I guess I'll just tell you guys some of the upcoming work that I'm
Yeah,
having.
yeah, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, bye.
I'm really excited about the Mike Bolt book and Ruth
Yeah.
Chen. Oh my God. So I'm right now working in a book that I both wrote and illustrated about the Day of the Dead that's coming with Nancy Folsom Books too next year. And I have another book coming out the year after, written by Elaine Bickerts, that it's called How to Make a Memory. That's a really sweet poetic book, and I can't wait to share these books with you guys. Thank you everyone for joining us. This is really
Thank you all so much.
Every Parnassus, yeah.
Really, thank you, Parnassus. Thank you, Anna, for everything, for this book and these fun things. I get to hang out with you. We should just do this sometimes for fun.
Yes, definitely.
But really, we've gotten so much support from the writing community and the educator community and the indie bookseller community for this book. Our cup runneth over. We're so grateful. And thanks for all the fab questions and everything.
Yeah, thanks everyone that has been, buying books, supporting us. It's really like the best way to end a week of book launch. So thank you.
It's been a good one. Thank you. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.